without further ado, I am very happy to introduce our first speaker. That is Vikki Laxx. And thank you so much. You came on about a couple of months ago, and I participated in one of your actions, went to our local Primark, and we did that, which was really fantastic, great thing to do. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully did a little bit. So thanks for giving us an update, and over to you.
In 2015, Primark effectively introduced mixed-sex changing rooms. They made the decision that transgender customers could use the changing room of their choice. They went fully gender neutral in 2019, following which, from some fairly basic analysis I've done, there was an exponential increase in men's sexual violence against women and girls in those changing rooms. I use a lot of the work that Suzanne Black has been doing over the last few years. So again, as many of you know, following a very tearful TikTok video in September of last year, following an incident involving men harassing a young woman in the Cambridge Primark, they did something of what's described as a U-turn, which wasn't a U-turn at all, where they introduced what they called women-only fitting room space. But we need to be really, really clear. Primark's definition of woman is based on gender identity. So a man who says he's a woman will have access to the women-only changing rooms. Primark say that their staff are trained to be able to stop any individual, also known as a man, who they believe is abusing that policy from accessing that female space. What they won't do is they won't actually share any information on how their poor staff, mainly female, let's be fair, are able to tell by looking at an individual who is and who is not a predatory man wanting to gain access to a female space. And ever did it feel more relevant than this week, with yet another terrible issue that is going on for our sisters in Scotland. So what we know is there have been well-documented instances of men's sexual violence in Primark stores dating back to 2007. Some take place, as we know, it's fairly common. Retail outlets, particularly supermarkets, are real hotspots, particularly for upskirting and voyeurism. We know that it's really well documented, certainly since voyeurism since upskirting became a criminal offence. There's a lot of evidence that's coming out via the CPS on this. So we know that there are instances that have been going on. So since Primark made this apparent change for their female-only space, we are aware that there have been further incidents. The most recent was on the shop floor. It was as a young woman or a girl, she was 16, was apparently leaving the store. A man has been arrested and charged with sexual assault. I'm not a legal expert, but I understand that he was remanded. And that there is possibly some relevance in that, but it's not something I'm too familiar with. And then on the 17th of December, a father tweeted at Primark that his daughter had been getting changed in Primark, was spied on, came out into the fitting room to find a man basically indecently exposing himself. He was ejected from the store. And then the poor young woman basically found the same fella in the changing rooms at H&M, who also have mixed sex changing rooms. I think one of the things that's really concerning, and I mean all of this is concerning, is that women and girls are still thinking that women means single sex, and it doesn't. I wrote to the board and the senior leadership team of Primark on the 25th of November, a day after I actually met with them, to flag to them that 3 12-year-old girls had used what they thought was a single sex fitting room in the East Kilbride store, and actually it was mixed sex. So there were some very worried mothers who had contacted me. Primark and ABF haven't even acknowledged that. You might have, for those of you that are on Twitter, we were tweeting an update yesterday that 2 months on in East Kilbride, it's the same store, it's the same sign. So women and girls are still using what they believe to be single sex changing rooms, because understandably for many women and girls, when they see woman, they think woman. They don't think a man who calls himself a woman. I think some of the other things that we're seeing, and from the meeting I had with Primark, is they are absolutely adamant that they are not going to step back from this at the moment. So they're basically putting in, they are more robust curtains. I've actually seen them, and they are putting in boards at the bottom of the fitting rooms. They can't put them at the top because of fire regs, and they think that that's okay. They seem to have no recognition that for many women, it just won't be enough for them to be enticed back into what is still a mixed sex space. So we had a fairly candid exchange of views when I met the Primark team at my local store back in November. What I also did in November, ably supported by, or December rather, fabulously supported by some of the women from Locals for Women, was I am a shareholder in Associated British Foods, so I had the fun of going to their AGM. I sat in the front row, and I have to say, as an introvert, it was really hard. I'm not very good at being in spaces with lots of other people. But I asked my questions, I raised my concerns, and I was astounded when the CEO of Associated British Foods, George Weston, and his family are the majority shareholder in Primark. They might have an interesting corporate structure, basically sat there and said in this room that one of the advantages of unisex changing rooms was shorter queues. And wasn't it marvellous that he could now get changed with his wife, or not get changed with his wife, but go in with his wife rather than sitting outside when they were out for a shopping trip. And I guess as I sit here, I reflect on, how the women and the girls who are sexually assaulted and spied on in Primark changing rooms felt about that, and whether he would be quite so privileged if he were to say that to them. It was quite astonishing. I also asked Associated British Foods via their chairman for a further meeting. I actually wanted to arrange for or for them to hear from women who were self-excluding from Primark for whether it's religious reasons, whether it's for reasons such as mine, that I just want privacy and a space away from men, or whether it's women who have been subjected to men's sexual violence. And they declined that meeting. They weren't interested in hearing our voices, because their solution, they feel, is to put in slightly better curtains, and that will deal with it all. So again, you can imagine what my view on that was. So I guess action, what we're doing, there's a number of things here. So the action that we're looking for, we know that in the UK, this is all telling you what you know. This is the long haul. We know, I think there's probably either going to need to be legislation or, and God forbid this happens, a really serious incident that leads to change, because they're not going to do it willingly. So I guess what I'm interested in doing, and I do quite a lot of work around this that's not on Twitter, be really interested to gather information about the other locations that Primark trade in that I've noted here. They have really big expansion plans this year. They are not going online. George Weston has come out fairly heavily again to confirm that. So this is a high street retailer. They're bricks and mortar. That's their gig. That's their model. So if anybody is interested in gathering some information on what's going on in the country that you might be in, where Primark are, that would be fantastic. My email address and Twitter are at the bottom. So we'd really like to understand what's going on overseas. The other thing, if anybody is interested, and I guess I would say this, is there is an action for anybody if you're interested in this. There's all sorts of communication we can have with Primark. We will be taking some more coordinated action. So if any woman is interested in, joining and being a part of that, then again, please do get in touch with me. What I would say, for some actions where we've got groups set up, we are needing and we are vetting women. So please don't be offended when we do that. The reason that we do that is, again, telling you what we're getting told people hope we die, we're getting death wishes, all because we want men to stop sexually assaulting women when they go out shopping. It is crazy. So it is about keeping women safe. So please don't be offended. If for an action you might want to join, we just ask you to go through a little bit of vetting with us. We just want to keep everybody safe, but there is something for everybody to do if you would like to be involved. And I hope it's all right, just while I've got this time, just to say this. When I started this, I was just really angry, and I realised I was waiting for somebody else to try to make the change that I wanted to do. So I do me. I'm for a lot of this, I'm me on Twitter having a middle-aged woman rant. But what I have found, and I wanted just to acknowledge this, is the support and the solidarity of other women when I've asked for help. And that's women like Jo and Bernadette at WDI. Every time I ask, can I talk? Amazing, unstinting support. It's Joanna at Northern Rad Fem and Northern Rad Fen who bring their skills and support and sisterhood to this. It's locals for women who, again, brilliant group of women who just step up and help, and we're all interested. Lots of other like-minded women, and also very much, as I've said before, Suzanne Black, who's been documenting what's been going on in Primark for ages. So this is a real effort of like-minded women coming together. It's not a group. You don't have to be in a group, but if you want to join and raise your voice, even if it's anonymously with a mask on, that's absolutely fine. But thank you very much.